In my introduction to this year's annual report that we are living dangerous times. Last year we celebrated the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and yet human rights, individual liberties, the rule of law, the secular character of our institutions, and the very idea of constitutional democracy are under attack. Is it okay? Can you hear? Not so much.
Now it's better.
Now I'm sorry. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Just say
I will stay there.
Yeah. Sorry.
Sorry for that. That's a good. That's a very good start.
I don't.
I start from the beginning. I wrote in my introduction to this year's annual report. Again. It's not on.
Okay.
Hopefully, it's going to work now. It's not going to work.
Sorry, it's the interface is in Icelandic, so.
Everything is more demanding and expensive, I suppose. I wrote in my introduction to this year's annual report that we are living dangerous times. Last year we celebrated the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and yet human rights, individual liberties, the rule of law, the secular character of our institutions, and the very idea of institutional democracy are under attack in the world and also in our continent. In many of our countries, civic values and legal principles that since the end of World War II appeared to be the undisputable cornerstones of a rediscovered sense of European historical identity are challenged, put at risk, disowned or betrayed by irresponsible politicians and often also by many of our bewildered fellow citizens. Scientific achievements that have made our lives healthier and safer in the last decades are called into question. Scientific research and its freedom are seen by many as a threat rather than as a promise of a brighter future for all. Fake news are often taken at face value and referred to rational evidence and discussion. Serious journalism is in crisis. Education to citizenship is lacking in many countries. Religious fundamentalism conspire with the use of religion traditions as weapons to be brandished against the newcomers in the hands of fearmongers of the worst sort to undermine a civilization that is, to a large extent, a humanist civilization. Albeit so often lacking self-awareness and inconsistent in its behavior. We humans are often wrong when we try to predict the course of history, and some science may suggest that the fascination for authoritarian policies and leaders is slowly coming to a saturation point. When we wrote the annual report, we didn't know yet what the results of the European elections would be, but we were aware that they would inevitably set the tune for global democratic trends, like American elections always do. We now know those results. The openly authoritarian wave has not prevailed. The openly revanchist religious organizations that thought they could use the new political allies in order to try to reverse by political means a centuries-old secularization process may be politically stronger, but they remain the the socially and anthropologically historical users they have been so far. The fabric of constitutional secular democracy and human rights did not collapse, even if it continues to be more or less severely shaken at each general national or regional election. We still do not know whether the secularist majority we had in the last European parliamentary term still exists, as the attitude of individual members of the European Parliament is not always consistent with that prevailing inside their political groups, their parliamentarian groups, and given the weakness of the European political parties system. In my opinion, what we can already say, even if we don't want or are very reluctant to mingle with party politics, is that we cannot pretend that not only in the EU, not only across the continent, but in almost all the liberal and constitutional democracies of the world, achievements that we considered assured be not under attack of influential political leaders and parties. Beginning with women's rights and LGBTI persons' rights that are at risk not because of the reversal of societal secularization, but because of the conjunction of political demagogues and very active and radicalized religious minorities. Progress is not granted for our humanist values. Actually, in history, progress is never granted. Last November, marking the centenary of the end of the Great War, we called for a collective European gesture of reparation by the European institutions and by all the European countries whose citizens were forced to fight in World War I, and for a symbolic repeal of the death sentences, including decimations of military units inflicted upon those soldiers who refused to continue to take part in that senseless, bloody conflict. Just weeks before that conflict broke out in the summer of 1914, the simple idea of a European war seemed inconceivable to most Europeans. And once it broke out, almost everybody thought it would be a matter, at worst, of a few months. And 4 years later, 100 years ago today, after peace was restored and democracy re-established, or established for the first time in many countries, most of the future dictators were taken as pathetic and eccentric chaps. It was impossible to conceive that just 15 years later, Mussolini's prediction that in a matter of years, the entire continent would have been, I quote, either fascist or fascistized, would fall short of becoming a reality. History never repeats itself in the same way, though. It is extremely unlikely that new authoritarian leaders may find in any of our countries a majority of fellow European citizens willing to sacrifice their lives for the collective goals inspired by them or by some sort of new nationalist or religious fanaticism, or really willing to force the society to return to any compulsory religious uniformity. A real hot war does not appear by now a possible consequence of political ineptitude and irresponsibility, but unpredictability, the continuous weakening of all cultural dams, a general irresponsibility in the public debate, in political decisions and behaviors is by now the spirit of our time. The search for the social and political reasons that have led to this situation and for the possible therapies is a matter for a cultural and political dispute, and it could well be that we do not all share the same views. But what is certain is that the idea that the basic values of humanism could be shared, at least in principle, by most of the main political actors as the obvious common ground of our social life is no longer to be taken for granted. This is what makes our responsibility increasingly heavy in the years to come. We are the main European humanist and secularist organization, recognized as such also by the European institutions. Our responsibility is therefore much larger than our size and needs. We must share more effectively our efforts, not only to be even more successful in our work with the European institutions, not just the European Union, but also the Council of Europe and the OSCE, but also in a more proactive and more constant cooperation that can be extremely important for the advancement of our values in Europe and in each of our countries. The more we will be able to interact at every level, the more each of our member organizations will exploit the opportunities for mutual cooperation and involvement, the more successful we will be. The threats and the opportunities we are facing require more than ever our greatest and joint commitment. I hope these remarks do not seem too pessimistic to many of us. We have to be realistic in our view of what the present situation is, and as much as possible active in trying to reverse the trend of the past few years, because the fight for humanist values, for legal principles that are based upon them, for the sake of human rights and individual liberties, is still our effort. It is still the basic, the only possible basic ground for a sense of European historical identity. That is our commitment, and that is what we are here for, what we have been here for, what we will be here for. Thank you very much, and let's have a good General Assembly.